Honorable, dearest, noble, and most esteemed viewer, the Antichrist is actually the collective ego of mankind. The ego is that portion of mankind's energy still trapped in the third dimension digital matrix. Hell is the ego's reign. The Antichrist is the collective ego. Now, that does not mean that there is not a very real artificial intelligence, hive mind, beast system that can be collectively referred to and known as the Antichrist, because it is essentially an anti-human, an anti-biological human system that is meant to enslave pure bio humans without any transhumanist injected agendas, but essentially humans who have a pure operating system divinely coded from the infinite prime creator. But hell can be understood as ego being trapped in your ego. And it certainly is a type of hell. There's a well-known, it's known to perhaps to myself, but a Zen story where a Zen priest was fairly well known in his part of Japan, where he was doing his Zen, stuff. And a samurai came to look him up because the samurai warriors, face death, and they realized that to not be afraid of death and to not be concerned with that was ultimately a benefit to their craft, their profession as warriors and fighting and all that. And so this particular samurai went and found this Zen priest to help him arrive at that fearlessness of, not being afraid of death. And part of what was bothering this particular samurai was the fact that, he didn't understand what heaven and what hell was. And that was, if he was going to go to hell and all this. And so that was kind of like the one, I guess, mental hang up that was keeping him from being totally ascended to a state of fearlessness, which happens when you finally put the ego in its place and you ascend to the fifth dimension. That is part of what has happened. You have put the ego in its place and you've been absorbed into the divine hive mind, to the divine law of one hive mind, the unity conscious of the infinite prime creator, God consciousness. That's what the ascension to the fifth dimension essentially equates to. But anyway, back to the story at hand. The samurai wanted to know what the meaning of heaven and hell was, so he could kind of, be at peace and move on. And, so he looks this well-known Zen priest up and finds him. The Zen priest is, doing his thing, and he's camping, how they do, and he's cooking him some, making a meal. And the samurai comes upon the Zen priest and says, "Hey, I'm here to study with you, and all this, and ultimately though, I just want you to teach me about the meaning of heaven and hell." And so, and the Zen priest is cooking, and the Zen priest just, the samurai asks him that question, but the Zen priest continues to do his campcraft stuff and doesn't respond, doesn't say anything. And so, the samurai, thinking that perhaps this Zen priest is hard of hearing, he goes and gets in his eyes line of sight, so where the Zen priest, there's no doubt that he knows the samurai is there, and he asks the question again, but once again the Zen priest pays no mind to the samurai, and he keeps on, doing his cooking his meal, and then at that point the samurai becomes a little perturbed and kind of raises his voice and asks, ask him once again, "Hey, what's the meaning of heaven and hell?" I said, "Well, I'm here to study with you. I want to know." But once again, the Zen priest, he's quiet. He doesn't respond, doesn't even acknowledge the samurai's there. Well, at that point, the samurai loses it, you know, and just lets out this big ferocious roar and pulls out his sword and goes, you know, like he's going to strike the Zen priest down. And at that moment, the Zen priest looks at the samurai and says, "That is the meaning of hell." And the samurai stops, ponders, thinks, reflects, ultimately understands, and puts his sword away. And the Zen priest then says to the samurai, and that, as the samurai is putting the sword away, is the meaning of heaven. You see, my dear, esteemed, and most noble viewer, even, hit that subscribe button. But anyway, there is no hell. Hell is only what the ego has made of the present. The belief in hell is what prevents you from understanding the present. It is what prevented that samurai from his ascension before he was given a divine transmission of knowledge from the Zen priest. But the belief in hell is what prevents you from understanding the present. The belief in hell is a tool of organized religion because you are afraid of it. And the organized religion keeps you in fear and bondage and servitude to organized religion through your fear of Satan and hell, which does not exist, but it only exists in the ego. So the Holy Spirit leads as steadily to heaven as the ego leads to hell. Because for the Holy Spirit, who knows only the present, uses it to undo the fear by which the ego would make the present useless. There is no escape from fear in the ego's use of time. For time, according to its teaching, is nothing but a teaching device for compounding guilt until it becomes all-encompassing, demanding vengeance forever. Demanding vengeance forever in the form of a hell, of a made-up hell, made-up concept by organized religion to keep its people in servitude. Now, granted, that does not mean there hasn't been a type of lower dimensional, fourth dimensional, astral type of a hell of unsavory energies and bad places and stuff and, you know, whatnot. But by and large, the concept of hell and the Antichrist and all this, it has to be put in its proper place and properly understood for your ascension to occur. Because as long as you're holding on to the concept of hell and Satan, you're going to be kept in a sort of ego servitude by fear and such. And thus, you're not going to be a valuable and viable and actionable divine human, pure divine human to help in the actual real Satan, which is the artificial intelligence hive mind. So if you're still toying around with this organized religion and in bondage and servitude to fear and concepts of the Antichrist and hell and Satan, well, you know, let's confront that. Let's resolve it with divine knowledge and ascend and get to the fifth dimension, because we need more troops to battle this artificial intelligence hive mind. That's the real Satan. Hit that subscribe button. Stay along for more information disseminations from the Umbanda New Earth Ashram for compassion and strength.
Namaste. Namaskaram.